Hi guys, Lindsay here. So, over the last several weeks, I've been really putting a huge focus and emphasis on feeling energies of peace because everything in life has felt so stressful and so chaotic and so, I can never say this word right. I don't know why my brain likes to use this word. Tumultuous? Tumultuous? It's a very hard word for me to say, but I really like using it, and my inner dialogue uses it constantly, and I'm like, mouth can't use that. Like, stop using it, brain. But, anyways, um, so for the last several weeks, all I've been really trying to cultivate in my life is just this energy of peace, like deep peace, because that's all I want. That's part of why I want to move, is so then that way we can go to a place that is filled with far more peace, far less people, far more peace. Like, to where it just, there's not all of the noise from town, from the fracking, from the train, from the semis getting sand from the train station. It's literally a mile from our road, from our house. Like, all of these things are just, they're intruding on my peace so bad. And I'm sure that for people that are not on the autism spectrum, it's probably no big deal. They're probably like, yeah, there's an annoying hum constantly when I step outside my door. Who cares? It's a hum. Get used to it. For me, it's not. It's not just a hum. It's this maddeningness that's just this constant reminder of like how much the earth is being destroyed, how much all of this noise is hurting, and it causes me physical pain in my ears because it's too loud. I can't sleep, I can't rest. It feels like I can't recharge. Since they're doing so much fracking around here, it's basically like a sensory nightmare for me, whether I'm in the house or out of the house, because I can hear it equally. It's been very hard. So I've been really trying to focus all of my energy, all of my intentions onto feelings of peace. And there's been some weird shit that's happened, okay? So I've been putting a huge focus on this and focusing on resting and allowing my body to heal and to rejuvenate. The last couple of days, I've started actually getting sick and started feeling extreme levels of fatigue, like nobody's business levels of fatigue. Like this whole thing of like, you need to stop, put a pause on life. You need to recharge your body because things are about to start popping off. Like that level of fatigue, like that, just everything in me, no matter how much coffee I drink, nothing. It's just like, I just keep wanting to just drift off. It almost feels like I have narcolepsy, which I do not. Like, granted, I do have other health conditions that do cause extreme fatigue and, low blood pressure, brain fog, things of that nature. But this is definitely a spiritual type of a feeling. On top of, it's physically manifesting of needing to rest more. But so, plus two, I keep feeling almost like I'm in a meditative state. That's how I know that it's not like physically health type stuff. But anyways, so I've been really putting this huge focus on peace. And when I was younger, when I was a teenager, life was very chaotic for me. It was very hard. It was very difficult. It was just, being openly gay in a very rural area, getting death threats, that's very stressful. There was a million other stressors that were happening at that same time of my life. And it was just, life was in turmoil all of the time. I used to read constantly, like read fiction books and stuff constantly just as an escape to essentially put myself on autopilot. So I would just go through the motions of life. So that way I could just sort of, whatever. Long story short, there was this place that I always used to go to whenever I was really stressed out, whenever I was really like overwhelmed and really like couldn't deal with it, and I just needed to feel peace. I would start walking down our road. I would go down this fork, and I'd go to the cemetery, and I'd sit on this one tombstone and just sit there and just feel at peace. It was just this deep, resounding level of peace that I would go. And I've been finding myself lately actually feeling really called and longing to go back to that place, to go sit there one more time at the Civil War Cemetery. So I mean, it's not anybody that's died anytime soon. Like it was Hannah Burson was gone a long time ago before I ever had a hiney to sit on her tombstone. So like, it's all good. But so you guys could look her up too. Famous lady. She had published a recipe once on some soda crackers or something like that. But anyways, I should make them sometime. But so I used to go there and I used to sit on this tombstone. And sometimes when that wasn't enough, when that wasn't a deep enough a level of peace, I would walk several miles further down this road to go to where there was this one specific stream. No, you don't need to come in here, Simba. Hold on. He's just going to meow like crazy. All right, I'm back. And Simba's in the room, so he's probably going to make an appearance. But so I've been finding myself really longing to go back to that place. Oh, I remember where I was at. Sorry. So whenever I was really upset and that tombstone was sitting there in the cemetery and stuff, when that did not bring me enough peace and enough calm, I always found cemeteries very calming, very soothing, very peaceful places to go sit. Because most people, they don't bother you there. They just don't. Especially if you go to one that people were dead hundreds of years ago. But so, or they died. You know what I mean. But so when that wasn't enough peace for me, I used to go walking down the road, several miles down the road. I would intentionally walk down this one hill and stuff, and there was this stream that was there, and I always would just stand there. Like my life would just pause while I was standing there watching this small stream, and I would just like long to be at that stream so badly and stuff. Like I just wanted to touch it. I just felt so much peace through that water that was right there. Okay. And I've been thinking about that for quite some time now. Whenever I keep focusing in on that level of peace, that feeling, and that's what I kept focusing on was that feeling of that stream being there. Oh, Simba's on my legs. Probably shouldn't have showed you guys his bad side. Sorry. But so that's what I've been focusing on, is that feeling. Yesterday we went and looked at a house. It was on the same road that I used to live on. That road also went by 5 other names, 3 different counties, 5 names. It was crazy. So, not a big deal that I didn't recognize the name. So when we went and we looked at it and stuff, I realized that that house was actually the furthest point that I used to ever walk on my walks. Was I would turn around right in front of that house. That is the house that we just went and looked at yesterday. It is within our price point. It has really good energy there, really good vibes. The land is absolutely darn tootin' perfect for what we're doing, perfect for what we want. It's kind of comical because the property line, it's actually in the shape of a heart, which is hilarious, because like everything that I want to do is very heart-centered, heart-based. The person that owned it actually died last year on my birthday. Really weird. I do a lot of deep dive research whenever I go look at places that might be a potential thing, because I just want to know. Hello, Simba. You want to show the world your good side? No, he just turned very quickly to show you guys the bad side. But so it's very interesting to me how this has aligned. But so in saying that, I never got to touch the water from that creek whenever I was a kid, whenever I was a teenager, and I would go walk down there and I would feel it, and I could just feel it like calling me. Like I felt such a strong level of peace and stuff. And yesterday when we went and we looked at that property, I actually went down and I touched that creek because it flows through that property, that creek that feels like it feels magical. And honestly, I don't know if it doesn't feel if it feels magical to people that don't have like hurts to their heart, but to me it just feels so freaking magical. And we spent, I would say, probably close to an hour there yesterday, and like today all I can think about is that I just want to go drive back there. I just want to go back. I want to go touch that water again. I want to go stand in the yard again. I want to hear the creek again. I want to feel it again. I want to feel that energy. I want to hear the level of peace that is there. And for full disclosure, our realtor is our next door neighbor. When we were standing there at that property, I said, "Do you see now what this sounds like?" I said, "This is the peace that I'm looking after." I said, "Now I hope you understand why I complain so much about how loud it is where we live and stuff." Because anybody that's ever been to our house, like anybody, like any of my friends in real life that are watching this and stuff that have been here, every human that comes here goes, "Oh my God, it is so peaceful here. It is so incredibly peaceful." For me, I'm like, this ain't nothing. This is nothing compared to the peace that I can feel in my heart when I go to a very specific place. So it's just very bizarre how this has all turned out. It is just, I'm flabbergasted. The house there, it's a shit show that's there. It is a double wide from 1994. It needs extensive repairs done onto it. It's all stuff that that's within the scope of what I am capable of doing and tackling on my own. But I do feel a lot of trepidation about trying to do another fixer-upper, about knowing how much damage my body took doing this project, and also knowing too that is just a double wide. Like I know that everything you read online will say that they're just as good as stick-built homes, blah 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 blah. Maybe if you're comparing them to modern housing, but if you compare them to old houses, like what we're used to living in, that are like 100 years old, 100 plus years old, that wood, the lumber is totally different. Like this, it's just, it's a whole different ballgame and stuff. Like old growth forest wood is so much stronger than any of the new stuff that could ever be harvested. It's not even the same material. It's like comparing wood to steel. Like it's crazy. But so yeah, in terms of comparing a double wide or a single wide and stuff to old houses, no, they're nowhere near as strong. They're nowhere near as durable. But I think if you compare them to like normal stick built houses in modern times, I would assume they're probably pretty comparable in terms of durability, longevity, things of that nature. Just kind of my personal opinion. But yeah, so has a barn, has a garage. First place we've looked at that has a usable barn and garage, that's also within budget. So we are going to try to swing for it. We're going to make a first attempt, and see what happens. It is bank owned, so it's not like I can go there and I can talk to them and like tug on heartstrings and say, listen, this is what I want to do, and I can help so many people, and I can do so many beautiful things here using this property, and so much community stuff, and bless so many souls and all this stuff through this land. I'm not able to do that because a bank's not going to care. They're just going to see numbers and stuff. So it's just kind of one of those things where I'm just crossing my fingers that things will align in a way that works out for the highest good of all. Because there are so many beautiful things that I want to do for the community that this property is in. That Tracy and I, for years, actually, right shortly after we bought this house, we actually went down to that area to pick up some rabbits that somebody was going to give us. And when we had come back home to the town that we live in now, we both were like, don't you miss living there so bad? We're like, this feels like such a strong calling. Like, we feel so called to go back there, to go back home, and to just shine our lights there and stuff. And like, we even went to the Canton Farmers Market and stuff and told the lady that ran the market, like, hey, we think we want to move back to there, like back to the middle of nowhere, back to where I received death threats for being gay and like all of this stuff. It's like, that's where I feel called to go. It's just, yeah, after we had looked at the place, I actually came home and sobbed, because to have that realization of there's even the remote potential to be able to go back to a place that feels like home, that feels that level of peace that I've been seeking, that there's still physically on this earth is a place that feels that way still. Oh man, it brought me to tears after we looked at it, to realize that we would set out on this 8-year journey. And it's just, the weirdest thing about it is that today we're actually planning on making an offer on it. And 8 years ago today was when we made an offer on the house that we bought that got us out of that town and set us off on this journey of homesteading, that set us off on this journey of self-sufficiency and even more poverty than we ever could have imagined possible for us. And it is just like, it feels like such a full circle moment. Yeah, so cross your fingers, say some prayers and stuff. At some point today, the realtor's going to be sending over information, documents, whatever. I don't know. I don't know how that works necessarily, but yeah, to try to see if the bank thinks it's worth the same thing that we do, in a dollar sense, without us having to make some tough calls, tough decisions and stuff. So hopefully whatever's right for us will happen. So anyways, that's it for today. I've got actually some outside stuff I got to do. I actually came inside to warm up a bit because my body is not adjusting to the cold yet very well. It's very delayed because of multiple health conditions that I have that causes problems with temperature regulation and a bunch of other weird stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.